Hi, Chad. How are you today?
Good morning, Allison. I'm well, and you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. It's afternoon for me. Where are you today?
Los Angeles, California. I'm sheltered from the brutal heat that's been plaguing us all weekend, so I'm not mad about that.
Well, that's good. I'm in South Florida, so we're hot as well. But
Oh, you know how it is then with a dash
oh,
of
oh yeah,
humidity.
yes. And I'm just waiting for our hurricanes to start hitting.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, um, let's talk about Sniper Rogue Mission, please. You have been with this. Sorry, let's try that again. You've been with this character, Brandon Beckett, for over a decade now. So how has he changed? How has he evolved? What have you learned from him?
Yeah, me and Brandon Beckett have had a long ride together. Decade plus bromance, if you will. We we kicked things off 11 years ago on Sniper Reloaded, when they decided to kind of reboot the Sniper franchise in general after sitting on the shelf for a while. And you saw a babyface soldier. He was an infantry grunt, boots on the ground Marine, and then he picks up the long gun, and we find that he had an estranged relationship with his father, the legendary Thomas Beckett, played by the wonderful Tom Berenger. And then you see the evolution of him, coming into his own as a sniper, and the dilemmas and the PTSD and everything else that these amazing soldiers have to deal with. And now we've seen him kind of switch gears into getting out of more of the military stuff and just kind of using his skill sets to work with international agencies and whatever, and basically just go wherever he's needed to get the bad guys and save the day. And we've kind of introduced more of a team element now, so he really has some partners in crime, if you will, as he goes out there and tries to do good in the world. So it's been fun, really. He's evolved. He's seen some things. He's done some things. He's been all around the world. He's his own man. He's repaired his relationship with his pops, and he's made some great friends along the way. So it's been a journey. Brandon Beckett he's gone from boy to man, I suppose.
And a little bit this time around, he starts off as kind of a desk jockey. So how did that change things a little bit for you and for the character?
That was a really fun thing to read in the script by our wonderful writer, producer, director Oliver Thompson. We get Dennis Haysbert back in the saddle with us. He plays the colonel, and he's a CIA lifer. And he kind of pulls some strings to get me into the CIA. And next thing you knew, Brandon Beckett's sitting there, and he's wearing a suit, and he's got a name, he's got a placard on his desk with his name, and he's stapling some papers, and I'm sure he's filing lots of reports. So, well, as you can imagine, I don't think it's much of a spoiler to tell you that doesn't last very long.
No.
Yeah, he's not meant to sit in his ergonomically correct swivel chair. He's meant to be out there, rocking the long gun and taking out the bad guys the best way he knows how.
And he does, absolutely. He teams up again with Zero, who is played by Ryan Robbins. So what is that dynamic like for the two of you? Did it change from the last movie? And how do you see them working together going in the future, maybe? Question mark?
Yeah, it's been such a fun element to establish more of a teammate, a friend, some camaraderie between me and Agent Zero. Ryan Robbins plays him. He was introduced as one of the lead actors in our last film, Sniper Assassin's End. So we get acquainted in that film, and there's a time lapse between that film and this film. So obviously we've become fast friends and good buddies. And I think this film, Sniper Rogue Mission, really allows us to play more with the banter, the zingers, the inside jokes, exploring more of the personal friendship instead of just the all business relationship that we have. So, we've got complementary skill sets. He's I like to call him, he's the hammer, I'm the nail, except I shoot my nail from a mile away, and he's up close and personal, wrecking everything in sight with collateral damage with his fists. He's a bulldog. So
Yeah.
I love that dynamic. I love the interplay. And he's not only a great actor, but a really great human being.
Oh, that's great. I'm gonna butcher her name, but I want a dog in the future named Lady Death. Sayaka
Who doesn't?
Akimoto. She's great. Talk about her a little bit. She really is phenomenal.
Yeah, Sayaka, and you nailed it, Sayaka
Oh, did
Akimoto.
I? All
Yeah.
right.
By the way, if you get a dog and you name it Lady Death, it's got to be the sweetest, like maybe a Pomeranian.
Oh, yeah.
Just there needs to just be, you
I'm
know,
thinking of a teacup Yorkie. Have you seen
teacup.
teacup Yorkie?
You know,
Lady Death, right? Perfect.
they're hypoallergenic. You can't go wrong with a teacup Yorkie. My parents had one for years. Loved it. But yeah, she really is wonderful. She really brings her A game. We introduced Lady Death again in the last film, Sniper Assassin's End. So here in Sniper Rogue Mission, she returns on the scene, and she, you know, we have a little dust up, we have a little kerfuffle in the alley. She just so throws herself into the fight, the action stuff. She really is wonderful, and she just loves doing these movies, and I think it shows on screen. And she's such a great change of pace between, you know, the two bros going at it, you know,
Yeah.
and everything, and then you've got this just a stoic, you know, literally lethal assassin who doesn't had much time for business or humor or anything else. So it's a really nice dynamic with the trio that we've established.
Yeah, I do like that about her. She kind of balances them out a little bit, being more serious a little bit more than they are. So as you mentioned, you worked with Tom Berenger. You've also worked with Billy Zane and Dennis Haysbert more than once. What's it like working with them? I mean, Dennis has such an amazing voice. It's like James Earl Jones. You just want to sit there and listen to him talk for hours.
You know, we got Dennis Haysbert back for Sniper Rogue Mission. He reprises his role as the Colonel. Fun fact: James Earl Jones spoke at my college graduation, Ithaca College, way back in the day. And trust me, I mean, Darth Vader. I mean, come on, James Earl Jones. Even Conan. I'm a big Conan fan, and he was the villain in the Conan movie. But you know, Dennis Haysbert's right up there with that just classic, distinguished voice. And it was so nice to have him back. He's such a wonderful actor, and you know, they gave him a lot of stuff to chew on as the Colonel and this new iteration. So it was really, really wonderful to have him back. You know, and he plays such a natural leader. You know, such a natural captain of the ship and captain of the team. So I think audiences are going to be really, really pleased to see where we take that dynamic, that interplay, and that relationship.
Yeah, I kind of agree. It's a little bit different, and yeah, he was a great choice, absolutely, from the beginning. And as you know, this leader, as you say, he really is terrific. You've got to do a lot of things playing Brandon. Is there anything that you haven't gotten to do that you would like to do, would have liked to have done?
Anything I'd like to do as Brandon. I'd like to win a fight against Lady Death.
No.
You know, that's on my bucket list. You know, I don't know. Maybe in like Sniper 12, we'll do, you know, Agent Zero gets mind controlled, and me and Ryan Robbins have to have our own fight and see what's going on. That I'll lose horribly, but that would be kind of an interesting wrinkle. You know, I don't think we're gonna for that. I don't think we're taking it in that direction, because now we're getting out in the weeds. You know, if we introduce sci-fi and mind control and stuff like that, then we're probably lost. But that would be it. I don't know. It's been such a blessing to be a part of this franchise. I've been able to travel all around the world and see so many things, and work with such amazing actors all throughout the years, and just learn so much in terms of working with our military and technical advisors who are often former servicemen and women and stuff like that. So really, really, it's been a blessing in my career. Not many actors get to keep coming back for more on a franchise. So it's been a lot of fun. So, you know, I'm a gamer. Wherever they want to throw me, wherever around the world, I've got the passport, I've got the suitcase, I'm ready to rock. It's I just love doing these movies, and I think we've made the biggest, best one yet with Sniper Rogue Mission.
I was going to say the chair looks very gamer, kind of like very your chair behind you.
Oh yeah, no, this is they wouldn't let me bring this in the CIA. You know, they had to have a more of a standard chair, but this is indeed a gamer chair.
Yeah,
I do like to stream Call of Duty because I'm in Call of Duty, and I like to mix it up with the fans and the players around the world. So I I go on Twitch and I live stream and I play that game very poorly. I bought this gamer chair thinking it would give me some extra juice, some extra superpowers to be better at the game. It doesn't help. It is comfortable though, and it reclines.
Oh, well, okay, that's perfect then. What do the fans feel like when you get on there and they can tell it's you? Are they like, oh my God, wait? Are they excited about it? Or are they like, oh yeah, time to kick his butt?
Yes, it is very flattering. Of course, when we drop into the match, there is no mercy. I'm mercilessly slaughtered by 11-year-olds. But outside of that, we have great chats.
Oh, nice.
We really have a lot of fun. And you know what I found is really great is, playing Brandon Beckett in a film franchise, the sniper film franchise, and then playing the character Allison in Call of Duty. There's been so much wonderful crossover because I've made great friends and fans around the world. Gamers will play Call of Duty and then they'll learn about the sniper franchise and go and watch them. And then people who have loved the sniper franchise then hear about Call of Duty, and so they come and join and they pick up the game, and we all start playing that together too. So there's a lot of beautiful crossover, playing pretend soldier across two mediums, so to speak, film and video games. So it's been really great, and I think that Alex in Call of Duty and Brandon Beckett as Sniper a bit cut from the same cloth, so it's really easy for people to get behind.
Oh, well, good. The overall storyline in this particular film is very topical, very timely, dealing with sex trafficking. Were you at all ever uncomfortable with the topic? Did you learn more about it? What was that experience like for you? Yeah,
it is very hot button and tragic, and unfortunately stuff like this does exist in the world. So I thought it was a really interesting choice to not just take down, a sniper gone bad in this film. What we're doing is we're taking down basically people who violate human rights and stuff like that. So we're focusing on that level, which is an interesting choice and a departure, and taking this franchise in a new direction, which I was really excited to explore. You learn a lot, and it's tragic and really awful. So, you don't even feel bad taking out these bad guys just because, anybody associated with that is just, kind of thing. So very, very different tone, very, very different feel. I think we handled it with definitely with enough respect, but also didn't make it so heavy that people couldn't sit back and enjoy their popcorn and have a couple of laughs and enjoy the buddy cop humor and the zingers and the fun moments that we have in there as well. So, I think we get sober and serious when we have to, and I think we let the zingers and one-liners fly, when they're appropriate. So I think we kind of hit the best of all worlds on this one.
I do agree with you on that. And Mary Jane's speech about, getting taken and thinking she's going to see people who she loved that are now, no longer with her. It really was really heart-wrenching. And then as Lady Death kind of gave a little bit of her background, I felt really also played well into that. So it's not just the guys that we're seeing here. We're seeing that these women have stories to tell. Do you think there'll be a little bit more of that maybe with Lady Death in the future, or perhaps another heroine? Heroine.
Well, I love that this movie has, some strong female characters. Lady Death is obviously nobody you want to mess with. And Jocelyn Houdon did a really incredible job as Mary Jane, who we kind of rescue and take under our wing and protect from the sex trafficking ring and the people trying to tie up loose ends in our movie. But, we are going back into production in a month on Sniper 10. And so you hinted at something interesting with Lady Death. So we will see if more information about Lady Death gets teased out in the next one. Can't say for now, not really sure. Classified information, all that sort of stuff. But, such an interesting character. And I hope we can give the audience some kind of more glimpses into how Lady Death became Lady Death.
Yeah, I would definitely be interested in learning more about her because she, like you said, she's so stoic. and she's a kick-ass female, but she doesn't give a lot of information, and she, everything's hidden. So that would definitely give her a little more depth, I think. Absolutely.
Also has the best outfits,
Right. Very true.
Everything else too, and the best makeup.
Well, yes. Well, the female characters, they do have to have the best clothes and the best makeup and hair too, So you play this sniper, you played him for a while, sharpshooter. How good are you in real life?
Ooh, that's such a question. I don't know that I'm winning any giant teddy bears at the fair for anyone, to be honest with you.
Didn't you say those were rigged anyway?
I don't think anyone can win those things unless you have $40 to waste. I grew up in the countryside. I grew up in upstate New York. So, getting an education, getting training, hunting, fishing, stuff like that were outdoorsy was always something I was around and comfortable with, and had a lot of respect for, with my family. My family's all, most of them in the military, law enforcement, stuff like that, but they were also, hunted and stuff like this. So I was very grounded in my education and training, at a young age with this stuff. So I've always been very comfortable. I wouldn't say that I'm Brandon Beckett level accurate, but at the same time, it's like, I could get a good grouping on a target, if I needed to, kind of thing. So, but shooting a gun that weighs 30 to 40 pounds and trying to hit a target at a mile away, adjusting for wind and velocity and everything else, like it's just, there's a reason why. Target. Well, in a moving target, my gosh, could you imagine? I can't even snipe in video games very well. But it is a tribute to the soldiers who acquire these skills, because it's elite. And I know that in doing research for this role over the years and learning about it, it's the washout rate in sniper school is on par with Navy SEALs. Like it is hard. It's like this crazy combination of math, thinking, mental toughness, physical toughness, obviously, accuracy, arithmetic, like you name it, fieldcraft. It's really impressive in terms of all the things you have to put together to be a good sniper at that highest level. So really props to them. And I'm under no illusions that I'm nowhere near what these incredible people can pull off.
Have they given you any tips? If you've had like consultants, have they talked to you about how even your body language, making it a little different to become more authentic as a sharpshooter?
Yeah, I've picked up some of the things, and just trying to keep it grounded in a little bit of realism, really representing some of the stuff and the techniques that they would use. And it depends on the situation. It depends on where you're set up. It depends on if you're on the high ground or if you're, camouflaged and gillied up out in the forest. So it's really very, very situational. But, I think the best thing an actor can do, and I've always tried to do this, is to come in without an ego, come in very humble. There are experts available, made available to you, and to not pick their brains and to not be glued to their side during one of these shoots is a wasted opportunity, and you really want to pay tribute and you really want to represent well the soldiers that you're playing on screen. So, the military advisors, the technical advisors have always been my best friends on set, just because, you want to get it right and you want to demonstrate it properly.
If you go back to your childhood friends, what would they say about you and the character of Brandon? Are they surprised, or do they think this would be like right up your alley?
I think any childhood friends that know me, they would never guess that I would have become an actor, because I never acted a day in my life before I moved to LA. I grew up in the country. I was hunting, I was fishing, I was playing with G.I. Joes, I was reading comic books and Lord of the Rings, and huge nerd, but also I'd go to football practice, baseball practice, basketball practice. I played sports year round. Never did drama club, never done a stage play in my life. It wasn't until I landed in LA with my journalism degree and started doing public relations that you just get introduced to it, you try some classes on for size. And, quite honestly, the only thing that ever compelled me to even try an acting class was because I was watching Band of Brothers. And I
Oh,
love, Braveheart. And I just thought it would be so fun to play pretend as a soldier in the uniforms and everything else. And I just said, let's give this acting class a try, just see how we feel. But that was a huge motivating factor for me, just the opportunity to go and just play a soldier, because they had such a indelible imprint on me as a child. So GI Joe and everything all the way through. So family and etc. So yeah, it's kind of a really fun full circle thing. I think it still shocks a lot of my friends and family that I actually do this, but they could probably sit there and say, oh yeah, that kid's GI Joe collection was massive. That makes sense.
just because of the toys you played with. Where upstate did you grow up?
I grew up in a very small town called Canajoharie, New York, which is almost halfway between Albany and Syracuse, smack dab central New York.
Okay. Yeah. I'm a Jersey girl, so I kind of know part. Yeah.
Our neighbors to the south.
I'm sorry?
Our neighbors to the south.
Yes, that's us. Yeah. We're the Jerseys. Anyway, anything else you want fans to know about this new film that's coming out on Blu-ray and digital on August 16th? We don't want to forget to say that. Is there anything they're going to be surprised about? Is there anything you want to tease for them so that they run right out and get it?
Yes, August 16th. Check out Sniper Rogue Mission. This is the most well-rounded popcorn fun movie we've done. Really, the action is here. We always try to raise the bar and elevate these films and make a bigger, better one. But there's more interplay with the team. There's more comedic moments. There's a character played by Josh Brener called Intelligence Pete, who becomes kind of our hacker, and he is a riot. Yeah. And it's so funny. And a lot of those elements are in there. A lot of the relationship stuff starts to play through with Brandon and Agent Zero and the personal life stuff coming through. But I think the action was top notch. Oliver Thompson had an amazing vision for this film, beautifully choreographed. Sometimes you think you're watching a Western. Sometimes you're confusing it for a samurai movie. Sometimes you think it's a Tarantino shot, and he did the original music for it. So really, the whole package is just pure entertainment, 90 minutes. So I really hope that people enjoy it, because we're taking this franchise in a new direction, and I think this is the launch of a beautiful thing.
I personally liked it. I felt like there was a real story behind it, and these characters are great. And I want to say about Pete, I don't know if you've seen it all the way through with the credits, that there's a moment with Pete and Mary Jane. That is, it's just perfect.
Yes, it is. So there could not be more perfect end credits, for this movie when people, sit through it and watch it. So it's really, it's a really fun movie, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. It's very kind of you to say. So I think audiences around the world will really love this one. It will stand out in a different, bigger, better way than some in the past.
I agree. I was kind of thinking, oh, here we go. It's another one of those, shoot 'em up kind of whatever. Here we go. I'm like, this is interesting. I like this. And that because it was topical and because he was a desk jockey for all of 4 minutes, it really, it adds more elements. Absolutely. So I can't wait to see where we go in the future. Lady Death, I am rooting for her to come back. And if I ever get that dog, I'll send you a picture.
Please do. Lady Death, the teacup Yorkie.
I got to convince my husband of that one, though. So we'll see. Anyway, thank you so much for your time. Continued success to you down the road.
Oh, Allison, such a pleasure. Thank you very much.